It was simply a matter of time before Ulrik acquired his magic again. After that, there was nothing that could stop him from challenging Con and taking over as king of dragon kings. Then his fury would turn to the humans once more. After Ulrik had reached land again, he walked. He lost count of the days as one bled into another, the sun rising and setting and rising again. His thoughts alternated between rage at not being able to shift and loathing for Con turning against him. But always, his disgust and revulsion for the humans was there. He hiked through heat, wind, rain, sandstorms, and snow. He didn't eat, drink, rest, or sleep. He shied away from any place there were mortals because he knew if he were close to them, he'd kill them all. Yet the humans seemed to be everywhere he turned. Being banished from Dreagan, besieged by humans, and unable to shift was too much. He had nothing to hold on to, nothing that rooted him, and each day he couldn't take to the skies, he felt his mind cracking. Where once he'd had an idyllic life, surrounded by friends and family, knowing only peace and love, now he was living in hell, with new demons clawing their way up his body and taking root in his mind, and his very soul. The last thing he wanted was to be found by the mortals, so he ran to the highest mountain. He climbed to the top where the air was thin and freezing, and no human could survive. There he found a cave that he staggered into before falling to his knees. He clutched his head and screamed at the pain, the anguish, and the hatred inside him. The dragon within him clawed and roared to be released. The need consumed him until it was all he could think about. Ulrik staggered to his feet and ran to the entrance before jumping into the air. He kept trying to shift as he fell thousands of feet before landing in an agonizing pile of shredded skin and broken bones. Tears he couldn't hold back flowed as his body lay shattered among the rocks. If he couldn't shift, he wanted to die, but even that had been taken from him. His body mended itself, and he began the climb back to the cave. He welcomed the cold and the hunger that pierced his stomach. He traveled so far back in the cave that he couldn't see the sky that made him ache to fly. There he tried to slumber, but there was no way for him to take to the dragon's sleep that would allow hundreds of thousands of years to pass. Depression took him. He didn't move for days, staring at the cave walls as images of the life he had taken for granted blurred with betrayal and banishment. He had no idea how much time passed before he finally rose and picked up a rock. With each dragon he drew, the more he yearned to shift and fly. The madness he'd felt after leaving Dreagan returned with a vengeance. Ulrik could feel his mind slipping away piece by piece, and there was nothing he could do about it. He raged against Con, against the humans, against everything. His hate devoured him, and he welcomed it with open arms. Hate was all he had, and in that loathing he thought of various ways he could kill the humans and Con. All the scenarios he imagined. They were the only things that gave him even a shred of satisfaction. During his madness, there were fleeting moments of clarity that brought the ache of all he'd lost forward, slamming into him like waves crashing against the cliffs during a winter storm. Fortunately, the saneness never lasted long, so he continued to plot his revenge against Con and the mortals down to the last detail. The plans were elaborate and far-reaching, but in the end, he'd get the retribution he sought. It felt amazing, rewarding even, to come up with such a scheme. Then he'd remember that he was a dragon king locked in a human's body. Ulrik didn't know what prompted him to stop drawing one day and walk to the cave entrance. As he stood at the opening, he looked out over the world below and saw that the human settlements had grown. It was a reminder of everything he'd lost when the Dragon Kings roamed freely, ruling the realm that was rightfully theirs.